State's last 4 games, the offensive output. 6 points, 6 points, 14 points.
Hey, Rutgers.
6 points. Those teams in points per drive allowed ranked Ohio State 40th, Nebraska 95th, Rutgers 88th, Oregon 67th. These were bad defenses, with the exception of Ohio State, which was decent.
Rutgers' defense was better than Nebraska's in that regard, huh?
Yeah.
Who knew?
And State scored 32 points in those 4 games.
Yeah, no.
But you see things and you go, okay, that has the makings. Like L.J. Scott had some good runs in the Red Box Bowl.
L.J. Scott ran hard. I mean, he ran really hard, and then he dinged up his knee and was a little bit not the same, but he still ran hard the whole time. I applaud his effort.
I know this is going to be the, coordinator's got to go conversation, but is it that simple?
I don't think it's that simple. I think their problems are similar to what the Lions' problems are. Yeah, do they need to change the offense? Yeah, I do think they need to change the offense, but I also think that offensive line, even though they went through like a different line every quarter, it felt like during the season because different guys kept getting hurt. They still didn't get it together even for the bowl game, where I thought that like last year, they struggled last year at times, and then they had time to heal up, and then they took on Washington State, and they dominated Washington State. I was hoping the same type of thing was going to happen against Oregon, and it looked like things started off on the right foot. They're getting yards up the middle. Here's L.J. Scott getting it going. But the offensive line is a concern for me and how they're playing. Now, maybe it is simply personnel with what they have in the player-wise that these guys just may not be good enough. They've got a hell of a recruiting class coming in on the offensive line. They've got some really good players that they've recruited. I just hope that they're still doing the right things with coaching them up on the O-line, because everything starts from there. I read this tremendous analysis. You and I both love Jim Comparoni at SpartanMag.com.
If only he paid attention to detail.
Comp is amazing, and Jim had this great analysis after the game. And
by the way, that's sarcasm. He pays attention to detail more than anybody. But
it's like this 10,000-word essay on what happened after the game. But he points out that in the obvious stuff, people want change, and the offense isn't good enough, and the numbers bear it out. But look specifically at the game and see there are plays that if this happens, people aren't complaining. You know, if Jalen Naylor doesn't move a little bit before he catches a pass and goes 18 yards, whatever it was.
He lined up off the line of scrimmage, realized it, stepped forward to line up on the line of scrimmage to cover up the tackle. So it would be a legal formation, yes. And that's right when they snapped the ball. So it was a illegal shift.
And it cost them a play, and then you're looking at down and distance changes dramatically. If you don't have guys jumping in false starts and holding calls that put you in down and distance situations that really hamper you, they've got their issues. And their plays were just missed here and there, and Lewerke did not look sharp, and Lewerke hasn't looked sharp all season long. Certainly not the quarterback we saw in 2017 where he looked like, this guy's really good. This future's very bright for Michigan State. I don't know what to expect moving forward, but they have to change the offense, because the bottom line is the numbers are the numbers. They're the 108th ranked offense in college football out of 130 teams. They average 18.7 points a game as a team. Now, some of that's defense and special teams, but that's it. That's not Michigan State football. And the number one number statistically you look at, Michigan State's able to run the football, right? Pound, green, pound. That's what they do. Le'Veon Bell and Edwin Baker and Langford and all these guys been able to run the football. Michigan State averaged 25 yards a game on the ground. In college football, that's terrible. It's just not good enough. They have to make some changes. And personnel-wise, I don't know if Michigan State has that running back. That might be a big problem, that they don't have the back that can get you 100 yards a game and 5 times on the season. I don't know if they've got that guy. I don't think they recruited that player on this team, like you could say in years past. The tight ends have had a huge problem this year of hanging on to the football. Your pass-catching tight end, Matt Dotson, man, did he drop a bunch of passes this year. And I'm amazed he held on to the one that he caught in the game on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, where he was absolutely drilled across the middle after he caught it, but he held on to it. But there are things like that where guys they've never been in sync. This has been a bad year for Michigan State. It's too easy to say injuries were the reason. though I believe it's a huge part of it. But I think it goes way deeper than that. I'm not going to go as deep as Mike Valenti will go, and massive changes have to happen. I think they need to make some changes, absolutely, to the offense. But I think that maybe just more attention to detail is going to help as well.
I think the one thing that I would do is put a heavy focus on whatever I need to do to get Brian Lewerke back on track. After last year, I really thought he had the makings of being an elite quarterback, and he battled injuries, but he was healthy in this bowl game, and there was still some stuff that made you raise your eyebrow. I think Lewerke, if it's changing a coach to get more Lewerke friendly, or I don't know, that I think he is an enigma now. I'm not sure what's next for Brian Lewerke.
Well, here's something else Michigan State may consider. I don't know if they will or not, but they should at least consider it, I think. I mean, it's because of what Rocky Lombardi is and may have his own limitations. I think they should consider a grad transfer quarterback, because there appear to be quite a few of them that have some serious talent. And if it's just for 1 year, you bring a guy in for 1 year, it shouldn't upset things down the pipeline like with Theo Day or with incoming. They got an incoming quarterback, part of their recruiting class, kid from Illinois, who I think was the offensive player of the year for Illinois. It shouldn't impact that. I mean, it would impact Lewerke. It would impact Lombardi to an extent. But as a program, you're trying to get better. This is something they should consider.
All right, Michigan. What should Michigan do moving forward? Well, I always think, okay, who's your most talented players? And for Michigan offensively, I think the most talented players are Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Tariq Black. And you know what you don't see? I don't know that I saw this ever. And I'm thinking back, I think I probably did, but I would make it a standard operating procedure where you have Tariq Black and Nico Collins on the outside and Donovan Peoples-Jones in the slot, and have all those guys on the field at the same time. Now, I do have my concerns because they're very similar, tall, straight line speed, and sometimes that, usually the slot receivers, the faster, quicker, the Ronnie Bell type, and what Giles Jackson will probably be moving forward. But I'd like to see those three on the field at the same time. I would like to see them run outside the tackles more. I think that when they do, it's primarily quarterback runs, but I'd like to see them get the ball on the perimeter. I think the speed of Christian Turner is intoxicating, and it's something that they might be able to take advantage of. So I'd like to see them get the ball outside. I think still there's a concern. If you look at what failed them, one of the things that failed them in their 3 losses was the offensive line. The defense had some bad play mixed in as well. But I think the offensive line in the 3 losses, they've come a long way under Ed Warner. And all 5 guys that were at the bowl game come back. But they need to get, if they make the jump they did this year with Ben Herbert as strength and conditioning coach and Ed Warner as their line coach, well, it could get better, but it has to.
Well,
it has to.
If I were Michigan, I would commit to a young quarterback.
You go to Dylan McCaffrey?
Yep. Commit to McCaffrey, commit to Milton, one of those guys, commit to them, work with them in the spring and say, hey, thanks for coming around, Shea, but there absolutely no, I mean, I'm sure they've told him there's no guarantees he's going to start next year, but it's time to commit to a guy you recruit. And I'd like to see that from them if I were Michigan. I think what you said is absolutely spot on. Those are the 3 best talent, most talented players they have in a roster. They're 3 receivers. They should be on the field. I would probably not like to see a fullback situation a whole lot. I don't need to see a Ben Mason type. Go with a running back. They've got a stable of running backs that may be good, not great. Give those guys, they keep recruiting really good players that school, but for whatever reason, they've come up short. That's fixing the offense. I do think there's an issue on defense, too. I mean, you give up 106 points or 104 points, 3 points, whatever it was over the last 2 games. That's awful. But offensively, yeah, I would commit to a young quarterback. I think that's the number one thing I would do.
Yeah, I don't care who the quarterback is, but it would be an open competition, and may the best man win. If it's not, if Shea Patterson can fend off Dylan McCaffrey and be better than him, fine. If Dylan McCaffrey's better, go with him. If it's Joe Milton, also just fine. But they should have a legitimate competition and hope that it brings out the best. 248-539-9797.